All right, let's get started. Good afternoon. Okay, welcome. My name is Tristan Johnson. I'm the Assistant Dean over the Multidisciplinary Graduate Engineering Program, which is a group of master's degrees that focuses on the design of solutions using software, hardware, predominantly, well, it just depends on the program that you're in, but I'm happy to be here to meet you guys, to welcome you to Northeastern, to the College of Engineering, and kick off this orientation session. Today you're going to learn a lot about the program. They'll get into some of the details. There'll be a lot of information going out to you, which you're used to. Obviously, there's a lot of things that you're going to try to remember, but the most important thing is that you've arrived here safely, and that here you have a system of an academic family. So you have your academic father over here, Dr. O'Reilly, and we also have your academic sister over here. Let's see, Natalie? Natalie's, you're relatively new. I think we've met, this is our third time we've seen each other. And you have also some co-op faculty that will be working with you on preparation for going out on co-op and things of that nature. Plus you have a number of professors that will teach you and instruct you in your classes. Sometimes I get students in my class from this program. I don't teach in this program, but of course Professor O'Reilly will be teaching in the program. But the one thing is, I want to give you just a little bit of a flavor for what we think and how we're thinking about the program, and then also some of the responsibilities on you. So first off, let's talk about kind of what we're thinking. As I meet with Dr. O'Reilly, and we have offices next to each other, so I see him quite often. As we meet and discuss this program, he has objectives for the program that are going to be in your benefit to accomplish and to focus on also. So as he looks at your program, as he looks at what his objective is, guess what his objective is for this program? What's his main goal? Well, it's obvious, right? To teach you the relevant skills, but not any skills, but skills that will help you be competitive in the workplace. Meaning skills that are tremendously valuable or needed in the workplace, that companies need, that companies want. Also, he even thinks beyond that, says what are companies' skills they might need in the future. So sometimes you have startups, sometimes you have big companies, whatever the case may be. So he's looking at those options. Also, he's concerned with finding the best professors for you. As I was mentioning to Joshua earlier, I ran into him as we were walking over here. I was telling Joshua that a number of your faculty are full-time faculty like myself or Dr. O'Reilly, but also you have faculty coming from industry. So they're working at big companies in the Boston area during the day, and then they come in, they, as we say, they schlep into Boston, they park their car, they come to the classroom, and they sit with you and say, okay, this is what you need to learn. And they've been doing it for years in the workplace. This is the kind of person you want to teach you the latest. This is how Dr. O'Reilly keeps things fresh, okay, and competitive. The other thing to keep in mind is these faculty are also trying to help you learn efficiently and effectively. So it's not only about what the skills are, but how can you acquire those skill sets quickly. So that's another thing to be concerned with. So this is some of the quality that's behind the program. Also, we have excellent student services support. So as you're trying to put together your degree program, as you're trying to get the right courses, you have tremendous support, people that want you to be successful. Okay, so in your life, also, most people have a support system that's not academic. It's called family support, right? So many of you have a mother and a father that you know, or an uncle or an aunt, or a grandmother, grandparents, cousins, etc., right? So if I am at school, right, and I am being a little bit lazy, I'm not being as dedicated, and my mother or my friend, I'll pick my friend because I'm a little bit too old to have my mother tell me what to do at school. So if I have a friend that sees me, the friend might say, well, what's going on? They might not say you're being lazy, but they might challenge you a little bit, okay? They might try to encourage you. So remember, oftentimes your friends don't tell you they don't tell you sweet things all the time, okay? So sometimes, they tell you things that you need to hear, or to try to watch out for you. So that's just like this team here. If we only tell you sweet things, then who cares? I mean, I can talk sweet all day long, right? But at the end of the day, it matters that you have the skill sets and you want the critical feedback so that you know what to do. You know how to prepare, right? So when I teach a class, I teach in teams, and I have meetings with the teams, and I say, okay, we're going to meet. I'm going to be I give them a lot of feedback. I says, you want the real feedback or the fake feedback? So when you get feedback, sometimes you get the real feedback and you're not ready for it, but be ready for it, okay? It's not going to happen. It should be, we're professionals here, that's fine, but everything's not going to be sweet, and that's okay. That's what you want. You want to invite people's real feedback. Wouldn't you rather know where you stand, that you don't have the skills to be competitive? Wouldn't you want to know that now instead of after you get in the field and an employer tells you? That's too late. You want your academic family to tell you, so that you can strengthen those skills. You want to even go to your professors and say, hey, this is the skill sets I want to develop. How do I compare with others? Am I weak? Am I strong? Please tell me if I'm weak. And if I'm weak, tell me how I can become strong. That's why you're here. So just like an example I use, and I'm just him and hawing just a little bit here. But if you're in an exercise program, right? And you're trying to build his bicep, Joshua, right? You're trying to build his bicep, right? And I say, okay, Joshua, here's your weight. I want you to curl this 100 times, right? This pen. Okay, do it. Start. Is that going to build muscle? No. Now, let's say I give him, I put 5 bags of 100 pounds of flour and say, okay, come over here and lift this up. That's not going to work either, right? This is what teachers do. These are what professionals do, is they give you the right weight. By the way, your weight might be this might be this level here. Your weight might be this red thing here, right? It depends on where you're at. It's called differentiation. So you want to be pushed because you want to grow, okay? But also, you are the ones that decide how much you work out. Just because you have that and you have this, he might learn more because you only look at this. But he actually, I'm picking on you, but he actually lists out. So as you're here, we know that people that own their learning, people that take ownership of their learning, are the ones that are the most successful. You all have done this before, right? Every one of you have had struggles academically because you're here. You can't be successful without struggling, right? You've struggled, right? Yeah, we've all struggled. And that's okay. That's why you're here. So, but this is a safe environment to struggle. You want to fail. If you're going to fail, you want to fail here, but you also want to pick yourself up and get help and move forward. When I say fail, it's not a great fail. It's just struggle. Yeah. Okay. So that's how we think here, okay? That's why we're here. So on behalf of the College of Engineering, you have a good support system. You guys are positioned to really, really, as we say, knock it out of the park. That's a baseball metaphor. Okay, it could be a cricket metaphor too, huh? You don't have home runs in cricket, do you? No. Yeah, okay. Well, knock it out of the park is a baseball metaphor. Actually, 3 blocks in this direction is the Fenway Park, which is where the Boston Red Sox play. Actually, just a bit of trivia, I'm not a big baseball fan, but where the Churchill is, okay, hold on, we're in the street. Churchill's right over in this way, it's just 2 buildings over, is the home plate for the first World Series of baseball. If you go out there, there's a picture of a player called Cy Young. Actually, they have the Cy Young Award if you follow baseball, and they have a statue of him there and a mound for the pitcher's mound for the first World Series in baseball. So you're on a part of history here. In this is actually the outfield over here. So you're in the outfield. So we invite you to continue to play ball with us. That's a good metaphor, huh? Yeah. With IoT. This is a phenomenal program. I'm very proud of this program. I did help a little bit, do some administrative work for Dr. O'Reilly, but this program here is the first one that we could find in the U.S. of IoT in a master's program. And we're very, very proud of that. And Dr. Raleigh has had to work hard to find some very, very good top professors to come and teach in this program, because it's rather new area and very complex also. So with that, I'm going to end. I'm going to actually leave and go to my next appointment. But welcome to Northeastern. It's happy to see you guys here. You're in a good place. You're in good hands. And I wish you all the best of luck. Study hard and make your parents proud, okay? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome again to Northeastern and the Internet of Things program. As you can see, this is strictly speaking at the moment a concentration in the Computer System Engineering program. It's a fairly standalone concentration. In other words, I'm responsible for it, and another professor is responsible for the rest of the Computer System Engineering program. And also I should mention that hopefully in the next year or so, this will be a standalone master's degree, so we'll be offering a MS in the Internet of Things. Universities are a bit slow to change, and trying to get a new program established is best done through a series of small steps like this, otherwise it can take many years to create a new program. Things don't change overnight. A lot of process to go through, a lot of approvals and so on. So I'm the director of the program, and I'm also your academic advisor. I'm an academic advisor to all of you who are in this program, and all the existing students who are in this program as well. Natalie over here, as Dr. Johnson mentioned, is the program coordinator for this program, and she'll be talking about how she will help you and things like registration, graduation clearance, all that kind of stuff over the next couple of years. And we also have a co-op coordinator for the program, Professor Schwartz, who will be joining us shortly. We have, I think, one slide on co-op, which he will talk about the co-op course, and I'll say a few more things about co-op. So this is the main team, if you like, that are administering this program for you all. I'd like to make sure that this is a real dialogue, so you can ask questions at any time, okay? Don't be saving up your questions. Ask the questions as they come to you, okay? And I'll try and answer them as best I can. I hope everybody has signed in over here. Everybody signed in? Okay, very good. So we're going to go through a lot of stuff here this afternoon. You won't remember it all. However, the slides will be available to you, and also we're recording this presentation so you can watch it again if you want to. At this point, probably most of you are concerned with what classes should I take this semester, okay? And you probably don't think much more than that, okay? But you really need to think about the big picture, about the program, where you want to go in this program, because there are a lot of different options, and there are a lot of dependencies between courses depending which direction you want to go. So the degree you'll get is a Master of Science in Computer System Engineering with a concentration in the Internet of Things. And as Dr. Johnson mentioned, this is one of a number of degrees offered by the College of Engineering that's often referred to as a professional or a multidisciplinary degree. In other words, this is a terminal degree. There's no PhD in this area. And the goal of the degree really is that the graduates of this program will go out and work in industry. That's not to say that a small number of you, right, may want to go on for a PhD or whatever, and that's absolutely fine, but the goal of the program is not to train people in research for PhDs. The goal of the program is to prepare you for industry, okay? It's still a very new program. Our first students were a year ago this time, okay, a smaller class. It's a multidisciplinary very much because it goes across many disciplines. Obviously applications and software, middleware, networking, data analytics, big data, etc., hardware devices and so on. There's a whole bunch of things this thing encompasses. And so, it's like a spectrum. And so we try and give you an introduction to the full spectrum, but then you can focus in on different areas that you want to do yourself, okay? Some areas are more popular than others. That's very often affected by what people read in the media, right, in terms of IoT, and also where people think at least jobs are, all that kind of thing, but sometimes what you hear and so on isn't always necessarily correct. Okay. The whole field of the Internet of Things is still very new, and it's still emerging. In other words, it's developing. We're still kind of the first wave of IoT products and applications that are out there. There's going to be an awful lot more, and probably in areas that we don't even think about today. Okay, and they cover all kinds of every area you can think of is going to have these devices of some sort. So because of that, the structure of this program, in other words, the courses and so on, is probably not going to be static. Okay. I've made a number of changes to the programs in terms of the courses and so on since last year, and I will expect next year there'll probably be some more changes. Okay. Probably over time the rate of change will slow down, hopefully. In other words, that the area will stabilize in some way, so that we, with the changes from year to year won't be as significant. Okay. As I mentioned, we expect this to be a standalone degree in the next year or so, once it works its way through the university process of creating a new master's degree. Any questions? Okay, so the industry sectors in which jobs are likely to be found, you can expect to range from energy, obviously, healthcare, transportation, infrastructure, agriculture. There was an IoT conference in Spain probably about 2 months ago in early June, and a lot of that was developed with talk there about agriculture, in terms of the applications there. So it's also in terms of, obviously, smart transportation is well known, but there are a lot of other ones, and there's a lot of industrial applications as well, which don't receive so much publicity because a lot of it is kind of proprietary, and the companies involved don't necessarily publicize what they're doing, right? And a lot of those implementations of the IoT are not on the internet, are very far from the internet, and they're very, very kind of protected. Okay, so during this program, what will you as students learn here? You'll develop an understanding of the range of IoT technologies, okay, architectures and solutions available to different domains. So a lot of the focus here is going to be on generic solutions or on generic techniques and so on. We're not going to be focusing in on particular application areas. If students want to do something in a particular domain, that can be done as part of, say, a project or something like that. But in terms of courses at this stage, we're not going to have a course really on energy, for example, and the IoT in the energy domain, because a lot of solutions are going to be pretty generic fairly generic, we think, across the different domains. There may be off-the-shelf devices and so on, and there may also be solutions that are proprietary, okay? But a lot of what we will do in terms of using devices will be off-the-shelf kind of devices. So, you also have the opportunity to develop a lot of skills here and knowledge in areas such as data analytics, security, IoT protocols and architecture, and distributed application development. Now, you really can't be an expert in everything, okay? That would require much more than 8 courses. So students generally will have to sort of figure out which areas they want to focus in, okay? It's very hard to be an expert in data analytics, security, protocols, and devices, and everything. So you have to sort of, at some point, you will tend to go more one way than the other. At least I think it's better to be relatively focused as opposed to taking a smorgasbord of courses that cover a wide range, in which case you've got, a little about a lot of things, but not too much about anything, okay? Again, it's your personal choice, okay? So So in terms of degree requirements, it's 32 semester credit hours. All the courses we offer are 4 credit courses, which means, so the math will tell you that means 8 courses. So it's a mixture of required core courses and electives. So we set up 4 core courses and 4 elective. As I mentioned, this is regarded as a terminal degree. It's not a research degree, so there is no project or thesis requirement. But certainly, if you want to do a master's project, which is 4 credits, it's something that can be done, for sure. So the electives you will take are generally going to be taken from different programs. So obviously from the computer system engineering program itself, which is basically a software engineering program, and which has, as I mentioned, 2 different concentrations. So the IoT concentration, which we're talking about here, and it's got something called engineering software design, ESD, is a separate concentration, but they're really like hardcore software courses, and a number of those courses, some of those courses, at least 1 or 2 you may have to take, and others are there for that you can take as well. There's courses in the Information Systems program, in the Telecom Networks program, which I run as well, Engineering Management program, Industrial Engineering, and also in Electrical Engineering. That's all in the College of Engineering. And then there's also College of Computer Science, Computer Information Science. And it's possible to take up a maximum of 9 credits from the Computer Science College, okay? And it's also possible to take courses from the College of Business. But a limited number. The max you can take from outside the College of Engineering is 9, okay? And a lot of the courses you will find in the Computer Science College, there are very similar courses in the College of Engineering, especially in the Information Systems program and the Computer Systems Engineering program. Like a lot of students get interested in algorithms and things like that, but there's a similar course offered over in engineering as well. So you have a number of choices here. Questions? Good, I guess. Okay. And these are the core courses. Okay. Of course, on the first one here is the CSY 6200, which is basically a Java course, object-oriented design using Java. Okay. Mainly we focus on Java because Java, along with Python, are kind of the 2 primary languages that are being used today for the Internet of Things. Okay. On the device side, it's probably more Python with some Java. On the network side, it's pretty much all Java or other. Okay, so if you really want to do more on the server end of things, you really get yourself in the cloud, you need to know Java pretty well. And these are the 2 kind of core, really, IoT courses. This is the first course, the Fundamentals of the Internet of Things, is a very broad course, covers everything in the IoT, from networks to, we'll have a list of the topics that it covers. Dealing with middleware protocols, all that kind of stuff. Connected devices then is more of like a hands-on kind of course, dealing with building some applications, okay? Using, generally using Raspberry Pi devices, okay? So it could be other devices, but that's the recommended one. And then there's a core course in networking, which is from the telecom program. Okay? Because networking obviously understanding networking is core to how the IoT works. These are all 4 core courses, all required courses, all are required. You can get exceptions, under certain circumstances, maybe on the first and the 4th course here. Because very often students come in and they say, I know Java, right? I don't need to take a course in Java, okay? Well, that's fine. If you really think you know Java, you can get, that's okay. However, in the Computer System Engineering and Information Systems program, a lot of those courses require this particular course, okay? And Dr. Vergara, who runs that program, is very insistent that you take this course. And he won't allow you to take courses like, for example, on cloud computing, on web tools, all those kind of things, without taking this course, okay? So bear that in mind, okay? If you ask for a waiver from the course, that you'll be very limited in what kind of courses on the software side you may be able to take. Okay. Questions? Okay, so these are kind of a summary of what's in those two important core courses. Okay, you've seen it already, I'm sure, or something. What's written as a course, as the course description for those two courses. So this is very broad. Okay, we look at technology and architectures, all the different kind of wireless technology that are in use. There's a whole bunch of different standards out there. Okay, things that are being close to being standards. The middleware, which is like the upper layer protocols. Okay, these are tended to, the whole goal of these essentially is to keep because a lot of the devices are fairly simple devices, you try and keep these protocols very thin. Okay, and there's kind of things like discovery and identification mechanisms, and then some use cases looking at cars, asset management, smart grid, and so on. And then obviously security issues involving the IoT, which is a big topic obviously, and operates at many different levels. So here we deal, in the other course we deal in a lot of the platforms and so on, okay? Arduino, Raspberry Pi, you probably focus on one of those as a platform during the course as your way of building applications, though obviously you could use multiple devices. Again, the protocols, the middleware, and building a number of applications using these devices. These are like prototypes, not obviously anything more than that. Okay, so on the elective side, okay, there's a whole bunch of general areas where you can take courses. Data analytics has got very popular, as you all know, these days. Okay, one might say there's too many people who want to do data analytics. Okay, and we've also have a master's degree in data analytics and engineering, which is offered out of the industrial engineering department, mechanical and industrial engineering, and there's courses related to data analytics in dealing with things like pattern recognition and so on in ECE. There's courses in computer science related to this. Not all exactly the same, obviously, with different approaches, some kind of algorithmic approaches, and others more kind of probabilistic approaches. But there's a lot of choice, like in data analytics across the university, right, in at least 2 different colleges. Okay. Protocols and security is obviously an area. Control application interfaces, software application development, and then on the business side. And then there's the possibility of doing, a multidisciplinary project, which of course is not required, but it's an option. Now, in the next couple of slides, I have a list of the courses which are kind of prescribed in each of these areas. And these are what are in the catalogue. Those of you who looked at the catalogue is done per each academic year. So there's a new catalogue now for the 2018-2019 students, right, which you can download from the university website. And that basically specifies what courses are prescribed for you guys starting off this year. Those who started off last year, it looked different, okay? As I said, we've changed from year to year. But so in terms of what courses you have to are recommended for you to take in terms of electives, they're in this year's catalogue. Now it's possible to go outside of that catalogue of courses. I mean, for some course you want to take, then it's not there, right? Either engineering or computer science, you can ask me, is it okay to take that course, okay? And if I say yes, then you can take the course, assuming you can get into it, and it's also assuming you have whatever prerequisites that course has. I mean, if that course requires some particular language, you better have that language, right, or whatever. So, I mean, so you can go outside of the prescribed courses, but if you do want to do that, you contact me ahead of time, okay? Not afterwards, okay? Because there have been in the past a couple of cases where students, came to you afterwards and said, I just took this course, I wanted to count towards my degree, and I said no, okay? I didn't feel it was appropriate for the degree. So just do it ahead of time, okay? You'll get a yes or a no answer. My saying yes doesn't necessarily mean that you'll get into the course, okay? Because there may be other restrictions of getting into the course based on your background or whatever. Obviously things like class size and all that stuff too. Okay. So data analytics, there's a range of the course, and there are more than this actually. Over in computer science, I didn't list any computer science ones here because if you want to take a computer science course, you're going to have to petition because there's a restriction on the number of courses you can take outside of college. But there's certainly within engineering a huge number of choices, okay, in this general area. IE is industrial engineering, info is information systems, okay, and DS is data science. Data science is a joint program between the College of Engineering and computer science. So but I say there's other courses as well, okay? And the ones in computer science generally require a course in algorithms. A lot of the ones here, like the IE courses, assume you've got a background in probability. Okay, so that's data analytics. And then there's these ones on here, ECE, okay, machine learning, a couple of courses there. Very similar, different names, but very similar, quite honestly. So it can be very confusing in terms of people who are interested in data, the whole general area of data analytics, data mining, and so on, what courses to take. My recommendation is go look at them all and figure out, as best you can. In this slide here, I have tried to indicate, with a star, in the fact that the courses have a prerequisite. In other words, a course you have to take before you can take that course, okay? Some of these don't, but most of them do. Now, one of the big things you should be aware of is that some programs and departments are very strict about the prerequisites. Others are not, okay? Like, as I mentioned before, the information systems, Dr. Bhagwar, who runs that program, because it's this huge program with 800 students, I don't know how many students he has these today, an awful lot, maybe 1,000. Huge program. There's no way he can do things on an individualized basis, right? So he's got very strict rules which he enforces. Okay. So be aware of that. Okay. So if you don't have the prerequisites, and very often the first prerequisite is that Java course I mentioned, the CSY 6200 course. It's either that or an equivalent course or sort of equivalent course in the information systems program, Info 5100. But you just need to be aware that if you don't have the prerequisite, you won't get into the class, okay? Won't be allowed. Now, other departments and colleges are much more flexible. Like I know ECE is, right? It may have a prerequisite. Well, actually, this one here doesn't have any prerequisite, and I think the prerequisite for this one is that one. But I know, for example, this one here, these data mining ones in industrial engineering, they have a prerequisite of a course in probability, a graduate course in probability. But if you talk to the professor and convince him that you know some probability, he'd generally allow you into the course, okay? I say, so it depends very much on which program, which department, okay? Be aware of that, okay? So when you're putting together a plan of some sort of a plan of what courses you might want to take next semester or the year after, take all that into account, okay? Because in a number of cases, students come to me and say, I want to take a course in cloud computing, and I say, have you taken the prerequisite? And they say, no. Well, that's it, you won't get into it. So think ahead. And then web design, user experience, they've all got, again, this is Java again down here, I think. Protocols and security, the telecom program, there's also a course in wireless sensor networks in the ECE department, okay. There's a course in computer hardware security, the security side, and then there's a very good course in network security in the computer science department. If you're interested in security, this is more network security as opposed to just purely IoT kind of access security issues. That's a very good course. It has no prerequisites there, but generally you need to know at least Python. Depending on who's teaching the class, you may need to know Java as well. Computer science in general doesn't give too many prerequisites, at least explicitly, But when you go to the first meeting of the class, you'll find out very often that they assume you know an awful lot of different stuff, okay? So don't be fooled by that. It may not be written down, but if you don't know that stuff, you'll be out of your depth within the first couple of weeks, pretty fast. So be warned. And then there's a whole bunch of courses on software development, and I listed these two here. There's other ones as well. This is basically a course on algorithms, okay? In the information systems program, there's obviously another one in computer science, an algorithms course there too. And there's other courses, and then we may have special topics courses we're going to offer over time. There's none this semester, but I expect to have different courses over the next year or two. And lastly, you've got the non-technical electives, project management, and these are two courses on kind of business issues in general here. These are both from the information systems program. And then there's the possibility of an interdisciplinary project and also independent study, okay, which is more like a 1 or 2 credit course. Any questions? Yes? Independent study means that you, it's like a small project. You come up, the student comes up with some idea of something they want to study. You would contact me or a professor maybe about a month ahead of time, put together some sort of proposal, what you want to do. You're going to do a simulation, build a prototype, whatever you're going to do, and we work it out, and that's it then.
Something which is not there in any of the courses listed?
Sorry?
Something which is not there in any of the courses?
Yes, it would have to be something that's not in a formal course, or it could be something, say you take a course and you want to go a bit further than the course. You know, then they could come up with a topic, you know. It's not really necessarily a research project. It could be more like some sort of a development project, you know. It could be building some sort of a prototype, you know, that, I'm not saying nobody's ever done it before, but certainly you haven't done it before, whatever. But it could be something like that. But it is only generally, independent study, generally 1 or 2 credits, right? A full project, which is obviously a bigger project, is going to be like 4 credits. So you have to look at the scale of the job, whether or not it would count as an independent study or a full project. All the other courses here are 4 credits. If you do take any courses in the business school, I'm not sure any of you will, but it's a possibility. Again, you need to get my approval ahead of time. Most of those are 3 credits. So if you're you know, 32 is the minimum, so you got to be careful of all your numbers there, they add up correctly, okay? Okay. The college also offers a whole bunch of different certificates. There's a whole range of them. I'm not going to go through them. They're on the graduate school website, I believe. A certificate essentially will give you, if you get a certificate, you need to complete 4 specific courses for that, which are specified for that particular certificate. And you must have a GPA of 3.000 across those 4 courses. Obviously, to graduate, you need 3.00 across your full program as well, for your master's degree. But for these particular 4 courses, you would have to have that as well. So you'd have to take these particular 4 courses to get a certificate. Now, if you're international students, and I think most of you here are international students, that has to be completed in the same time as you finish out your master's degree. So if your master's degree finishes in May, for example, of, we say 2020, right? We say, you must finish the certificate exactly the same time. If you only got 3 of your certificate courses finished, you can't come back and take 1 extra course afterwards, okay? Because from the immigration point of view, the point of view is that you're here for your master's degree, that's what your I-20 says, right? And when you completed that, you're out of here, okay? You can't stay on. I guess you could always stay on if you have a job in the area, for example. You could come in and take a course, you know, a part-time student to finish your degree, or your certificate, but I'm not sure how many graduates are interested in doing that. So the ones that might be more of interest to IoT students could be one in data mining engineering. It might be. I'm just throwing these out here. You can, if you're interested, you can go through the full list. Engineering management, technology systems management, which are both, if you like, on the management, the business side. Okay. Having looked at these certificates and the courses that they, it's most likely that you would have to take, as an IoT student, you'd probably have to take at least one extra 4-credit course. Now, that may not be, true across the board, but it looks like you would probably have to take one extra course. So in other words, you would have 9 courses to take, as opposed to 8 courses to get the degree and the certificate. You may be able to figure out some case where that's not true, but anyway, if you're interested in getting a certificate. The one that's not open to IoT students is obviously computer system engineering itself is not an option. But I think pretty much all the others, and there's a whole bunch of them, like maybe 20, 30, I don't know, there's an awful lot. Okay, so in terms of course planning, there's no fixed order for taking courses, okay? A lot of it's up to you, okay? And when you're undergrad, generally there's a very strict order of courses, right? With some electives thrown in, but you take certain courses each year and so on each semester. When you come to the graduate level, that's generally not the case, okay? I mean, there are exceptions to it. For example, students who take an MBA, for example, everything there goes in a nice fixed order. But for most graduate courses in most American universities, there's a lot of flexibility, okay? Which can be good and which can be bad, okay? Okay, it's because, I guess, if it's structured, it's generally structured very well, but the fact that it's unstructured, sometimes students make mistakes and start going off all over the place, or not taking the courses before they should, and so very often if they want to go on a co-op, they may not be ready for co-op because they haven't taken the right kind of courses. Okay. So, but however, it's obviously very strongly recommended that the core courses be taken early on in the program, okay? Because so many of the other courses are going to depend on those, okay? Obviously the 2 core IoT courses, but also the networking and the object-oriented course as well. There's so many other courses that depend on that. That's going to really, if you don't take it early on, it's going to really restrict you in what courses you might want to take. You need to be aware of when courses are generally offered. And we have 2 major semesters at Northeastern here. We have the fall and the spring semester. Not much happens here in the summertime in terms of courses. Okay, be aware of that. Not all courses get offered every semester. Now, a large number of the courses will be offered every semester, okay? But there's no guarantee, so you should always check into that. One way to do that is to go back over the past year or 2, right? You can go in the banner system, you can look on previous years and see what courses were offered when and so on. But it's generally true, most courses are going to get offered, especially these major courses are going to get offered every semester, but not all of them. Okay. If you can, and assuming you're interested in going on a co-op, try and take into account when you're likely to be on co-op. Starting here in fall 18, the first time you're eligible for co-op will be May of 19, right? 2019. It can be hard getting a co-op right away unless you've got a lot of really good experience and things like that. So you'll have a chance to get a co-op during that summer or into the fall, say in September of next year. Last chance will be January of 2020, okay? Which, in fact, a lot of students are successful in getting a co-op in January. But, obviously take that into account as much as you can, since that's basically an unknown, okay? You don't know for sure when you're going to get a co-op, assuming you do get a co-op, right? But you can sort of make it as our best guess or make some assumptions. As I mentioned before, you need to be very aware of dependencies between courses, whether it's prereqs, okay, and which cases it's going to be mandatory, okay, to have the prereqs, Okay, so be careful of that. Sometimes courses will have more than one prereq, could have two. Or may have a prereq then in itself has a prereq from another course, okay? So it could be like the third level. As I mentioned, very few courses available during the summer. And they're primarily business courses. There are maybe some technical courses. Computer science might offer 1 or 2 courses. I think information systems may offer 1 or 2 courses, but they tend to vary from year to year. In terms of summer courses, there's very little consistency. The other thing about the summer here at Northeastern is a bit odd, okay? Because we have 3 different summer semesters. We have the regular full summer semester, which is from May through the middle of August, okay? And then we have short summer semesters, summer 1 and summer 2, which is essentially our condensed semesters. Normally a semester is 14 weeks or so, okay? Like maybe you have a class, maybe 3.5 hours per week. In this case here, in a 7-week semester, everything gets doubled up, okay? So instead of meeting, say, twice a week, maybe for a class, now you meet 4 times a week. It gets very intensive. Very intensive indeed. These kind of, which is why engineering, computer science generally do not offer courses in these short semesters. It is not possible really to assimilate or gather all that information and write code and all that kind of stuff in such a short week or such a short term. So most of the courses that are offered in the summer 1 and summer 2 tend to be more like business courses, where there's a lot of reading and things like that. But courses that require, where you have to, take in a lot of knowledge, okay, and in a very short period of time, are not that common, okay, for that reason. So if you do take any courses during like a summer 1 or summer 2 semester, be aware that this is going to be really intensive, okay, and don't take more than one of them, okay. Taking one course there is like taking 2 courses in terms of the amount of work involved. And you can't afford to get sick or miss a week or something, because you're going to be so far behind. Okay, international students, again, you need to be, in your last semester, you need to be registered on ground for an on-ground class in your last semester. So if students go on a co-op and they come back, you have to be registered you can't be registered for an online class. And this only applies to, obviously, international students, does not apply to domestic students. So for example, if sometimes a student wants to graduate in August, comes back and wants to take a course, and summer 2 in particular, there's often very few courses in general, even very few business courses, okay? And sometimes they are online courses. You can't have an online course, okay? Well, you have an online course, but then you also have to have an on-ground course as well, okay? In other words, immigration needs to know that you are actually physically here, okay? That you're not somewhere else. So OGS won't allow international students, you won't be allowed to graduate, if that's the case. Any questions? A lot of different topics here, okay? In some cases, I'll repeat the topic, or I'll come back a little bit, maybe a different angle, but okay. Course planning. So this fall, what courses should you take? Okay. I strongly recommend you take these 2 courses. Okay, as I say, it's up to you. I recommend you take data networking along with the lab that goes with that, and take the Java course as well. Now, if you already know Java, you may take another course. Okay, I've said this before, and you'll need to fill in the petition to get a waiver from that core course. However, as I mentioned, this particular course is a prereq for many CSYE and info courses. And so you won't be able to take those courses without taking it, okay? That's just the way it is. So think twice before you get a waiver, right? Because it's going to restrict you, especially if you want to take course in that area. So if you don't want to take one of these 2 courses, these are other options. You could take the fundamentals of the IoT course itself this semester. I mean, a prereq for that is a networking course. However, if a student has, you know, the amount of networking you require for the course is not a huge amount, okay? So you don't need to know everything in data networking class to take the fundamentals course. It's recommended though, but if you're taking, you could take the data networking class along with this if you wanted to, and save this one up until the second semester. You could do that. You know, but again, until you completed this course, there are a lot of other courses you won't be able to take. So I'm just saying that, right? But there are options here. You could take, if you're interested, I would allow you to take a course in C++, okay? And that won't help you with this issue of, you know, getting into these other courses, okay? And there is data mining and engineering, which is one of the IE course, industrial engineering courses. What they require, as I mentioned before, I think they require some prior knowledge of probability, which probably most of you have. So usually you can, they'll waive, if there's a prerequisite there, they'll waive it for you if you have that knowledge. But these are some options if you did not want to take those two courses. But that's what I recommend, okay? Any questions? Well, it's a very quiet group. Okay. Okay. Okay, advising, okay. During the first 2 weeks, it's a lot of stuff happens here the first 2 weeks of the semester, okay. Very busy time. My preferred time, if you want to come and drop by and see me, during the afternoons, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. I teach on Thursday afternoons between 3 and 4:30. Okay. I'm on the 5th floor of Dana, which is, am I looking the right way? That way? You sure? Oh, that's Ruggles is right there, is it? Okay, then we're over there. Okay. My GPS is off here. Okay. Anyway, on the 5th floor of Dana, and you take the elevator to the 5th floor. For those of you who haven't been there, if you want to see me, you have to come in from off Forsyth Street, up the steps there. Elevators are on the left. 2 elevators, take the one on the left-hand side, goes to the 5th floor. It's the only way in, okay, through the elevator. After the first couple of weeks, regular office hours will be 3 to 4, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, okay. Most of the time, at least a lot of time, I would say most of the time, the question you might have can be generally answered by an email, okay? So use email wherever possible in terms of if you have some sort of question. If, for example, you're looking for a waiver from, or you want to take a particular course, right, that's not on the prescribed list, just send me an email, explain you want to take this course, and I'll say yes or no, okay? You don't necessarily have to have a face-to-face meeting unless it's, there's some big discussion around this, okay? It's some really strange course you want to take that I'd never seen before, right, or something like that. A few years ago, I had one of my telecom students wanted to take a course on real estate, okay? And he was, of course, it was denied, but I mean, he was never able to explain to me exactly why he wanted to take a course on real estate. Okay. In the business school, obviously. Okay. Okay. We don't have Yogesh or. Okay. We have a co-op feedback session. I generally schedule for each every spring and every fall. In other words, an opportunity for you to meet some of the students who've been on a co-op, either in this case the telecom or the IoT students who come back from a co-op, and you can talk to them about their experiences in terms of how they got the co-op, how long it took them to get the co-op, to talk about the job itself, anything that you can think of. Okay, so it's an opportunity for some dialogue. Now we also have a very active, I thought we were going to have some of the students here from the IoT Connect organization, which was set up during the last year. There are a lot of student societies or clubs on campus, and so we thought IoT would be a great opportunity to have an activity in that area. And there's a number of students who have created this group now. They've had a number of meetings with IoT meetups. They're trying to organize some, so they've attended a lot of things around the Boston area. There's a lot of stuff going on in IoT at MIT, at BU, in small startups and stuff like that. So there's a lot of activity going on, and they've been talking to different people about running some sort of workshops on campus and some various meetings on campus and stuff like this. So if you're interested in getting involved in that, okay, what they're going to do is set up basically a kick-off meeting for new students where they'll talk to you about it. And if you're interested, I recommend that even today you can send them an email. They're getting an official Husky email address. Now they're an official Northeastern organization, student organization, which means they get some funding from the university and so on. So they have a lot of resources that they can pull on, and they will be getting a Husky email address. But as of today, they only have a Gmail account. So if you're interested in being involved, I would recommend you send them an email. You can do it right now if you want to. nuiotconnectclub@gmail.com. If they show up before the end, I'll ask them to say a few words, okay? They were supposed to be here today. Okay. Any questions? Yes.
If I want to take fundamentals of IoT
Yes.
in the first semester without taking data networking, so how do I demonstrate networking knowledge to take that course?
So you don't want to take data networking at the same time.
No, I want to take it in Java.
Take it with Java. Well, I guess you have to convince the professor teaching the course.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you have networking experience?
Yeah.
Like what?
I used to work in the company. So first I had a computer networking course in my college also.
Right.
And then we used to, all the protocols and all that, we used to use them.
Okay. Yeah, you probably have enough. I mean, because it doesn't require, in-depth, which we cover in the course, but that's probably enough for that particular course, yeah. But talk to Professor Herrero, who teaches that class, and you could tell him that you talk to me, yeah. Well, that's okay. Any other questions?
There are some courses like algorithms which are being offered by different department, right? Like from computer science and information systems.
Right.
Is there any difference?
Well, there's obviously going to be more differences. I think they're probably very similar. I would think that probably the one in computer science is more theoretical, and the other one's a bit more applied. That'd be my guess. I mean, without going through the actual syllabus side by side, it'd be hard for me to tell, I think probably you'd be better off taking the one in the information systems program. If for some reason you can't get into that or whatever, then there's the one in computer science. In terms of difficulty, I don't know. In terms of, it may often depend on the professor teaching the course, But a lot of students I know have taken the course in computer science in the past have done quite well in the course. Other questions? Okay. Northeastern offers quite a few of online courses, okay, or sections of classes. So when can you take an online section? Well, there are two major cases. When you're in co-op, and say you're in co-op in California or whatever, you are allowed to take one course per semester when you're in co-op. That's not something I generally recommend, but you are allowed it, okay? And so you're allowed, online, especially if you're not on a co-op anywhere close to the Boston area, it is your only option if you want to do that, okay? In the case of when you're on campus, the only case where you can sign up for an online one is when all the on-ground sections are full, okay? Or when in the case, sometimes, as I mentioned, there are courses offered purely as online, and there's no on-ground section at all. In that case, you are allowed to register for it, okay? But of course, there are other restrictions. If you're an international student, you can't re-register for more than one online course per semester, okay? Because otherwise, OGS is not sure whether you're on campus or not, okay? So you have to have at least one on-ground course on campus each semester if you're an international student, okay? Sometimes, of course, there will be a video streaming section, which is, in other words, got an actual live section, and then it's got a video streaming section, basically for like an overflow kind of thing, or for students who are remote. In that case, the streaming video content will be available to all students, not just to those who are signed up for the V35 section. And this generally uses a technology called Tegrity. We use video streaming, and so that technology can be used anywhere on campus. And so some courses, okay, some professors record their classes so that you can, view them again later on. Something that I do, and I say some do, majority don't, okay? So the only way you can find out what's happening in a classroom is actually to be physically there, okay? You have to be in the classroom. But it can be a useful tool for students, I find anyway, especially if you're revising for an exam or something like that. You have the opportunity to go through you can watch the videos again of all the classes, or any ones that you need to watch again. Okay, independent study was asked before, okay. We also have a directed study, okay, which is more that you can follow a prescribed course. I mean, this is a rare kind of thing, okay. Independent studies are not that common. I mean, sometimes students will come with independent study requests, okay. But usually you have to do some work ahead of time getting the proposal, so that puts a lot of people off. It's not a case of where you come to a professor and say, I want an independent study, tell me what I should do. It doesn't quite work like that, okay? Now, directed study is more like you're going to follow a prescribed course, of action, where you're generally going to be some sort of an exam in that, okay? And that can be 1 or 2 credits again. And we talked before about the master's project, which is a sort of big independent study, and can obviously be a lot more substantial. Okay. International students, majority of you are international students, probably you're aware of this. The maximum you can work on campus is 20 hours per week. That could be across multiple jobs, of course. So it's, you get 5 hours on one job, 10 hours on another, and so on. The only way you can work off campus is on a co-op, which is called in immigration terminology, that's CPT, Curricular Practical Training, okay? Or you can use pre-OPT also to work off campus. In both cases, your GPA needs to be above 3.0. Okay. Students on programs like this are not eligible for stipended research or teaching assistantships, okay, where essentially your tuition is paid for. This is the way it is. In general, those in the College of Engineering, those kind of positions are given only to PhD students, okay? Master's students aren't generally eligible for those. However, we often employ students as course assistants. Often they're called teaching assistants as well, but it makes it confusing. the way to get that kind of position is to do well in a class. So if you do well in a particular class and impress the professor, okay, then you can apply to be a course assistant, a TA, if you like, in a future semester, okay. So it's a matter of impressing the professor and so on. And you're paid on an hourly rate, and again, the maximum be 20 hours per week, obviously, but it could be a lot less than that. Sometimes some of the courses will have multiple TAs, so. And what kind of jobs you would get? You could be purely just grading assignments, could be one thing. You could be running labs, providing tutorial help, mentoring projects, etc., etc. Okay. So it depends on the course what the responsibilities of being a teaching assistant or course assistant are, but they can be quite different. So this semester, your first semester, you're not eligible for any of these positions, obviously, because you have to first of all, take a course and do well in it, okay? And then those who do well in a course would be eligible perhaps to at least apply anyway, and next semester or in future semesters. And generally what you need to do is just send me an email. There's no complicated process at this point. If it gets, we have too many students, and then we may establish more of a formal process or whatever. But at this point, you just send me an email, and letting me know what course you're interested in being a TA for. Okay, so now we're on to policies and procedures, and now I'm going to hand over to Natalie here, who will talk about this. Okay. Where are we here?
Thank you. Well, hello everyone. It's nice to meet you all in person. I know some of us have connected during office hours and online, but I just want to say welcome to Northeastern officially. I hope you're all excited to be here. As Dr. O'Reilly mentioned, I'm Natalie and I'm your Graduate Student Services Coordinator, so I'll be helping you this year and next year with your course registration, your graduation clearance, academic probation issues if you may have them. Hopefully no one will, because you're all superstars, right? Wow, wicked quiet group. And also helping you all liaise with different departments within the university, connecting you to resources like the Career Development Center or like university counseling if need be. I am also one of your academic SAVIS contacts, so if you are an international student considering a CPT experience, I will help clear you academically for that. And yeah, make sure you're checking your emails regularly. I will email you with newsletters and important updates and deadline reminders. So if you are an international student, you will be working with the Office of Global Services, or OGS, we would refer to it as. They deal with students on F1 and J1 visas. They provide information about your CPT or OPT opportunities, and they also plan events throughout the semester, so stay in touch with them and engage with them. They're a great office, and they are another great resource for you on campus while you're here. So I'm going to go over about what Graduate Student Services here at the College of Engineering can provide for you within resources, help outline what some of your responsibilities are as graduate students, and what assistance I can provide you going forward. So, first, some resources. All of these are going to be available online. Professor O'Reilly will share these slides with you through Blackboard site, or I'll follow up in an email, but make sure that every slide that I show you and talk about, you're saving the links that are included and bookmarking them, because even though some of the information won't be like immediately important to you right now, I guarantee you in like 2 months down the road while you're thinking about spring and maybe considering a course that's not on your approved list, you'll be like, oh, Natalie mentioned a petition form one day. Where is that? And you'll have that available so you can easily submit it. So, My Northeastern. You all should be familiar with this portal by now, maybe, yes? You have access? Yes. Great. So on here, you'll be registering for courses if you haven't already. You can access your email, your billing and tuition, Blackboard site, Husky Card, and so much more. So I encourage you to take a look around, become familiar with it, and use it regularly. So the registrar's office is an important office on campus because they maintain your academic student record and they are also responsible for your course registration. So this website has information about how to register and also the graduate catalog. So as Dr. O'Reilly mentioned, you are held to the catalog year in which you have entered into your program. So the 2018-2019 program catalog is the one you want to be looking at. You'll find the IoT curriculum underneath the College of Engineering and the multidisciplinary programs. So I encourage you to bookmark that page and look at it regularly when you're doing your academic planning and considering which courses you're going to take in which semester. Are they available or are they not? A great resource. Also in the catalog are academic policies and procedures, the Student Code of Conduct, and the Bill of Academic Rights and Responsibilities as a student. Great things to know. I'm not going to go over all of them now, but please take a look at them, familiarize yourself with them, and use them going forward. So, as I mentioned, the university calendar is an important thing to also have. 2 important dates are, well, I have 4 listed, but 2 to be aware of is September 5th, the first day of classes, and September 18th, the last day to add classes. So after this session, if you're considering, oh, is this the class that I actually want to be enrolled in? Do I maybe want it? The last day to absolutely add one is September 18th. And you need to make sure that if you are an international student, you're meeting your 8 credit minimum for classes. So keep those in mind. Last day to drop without a W grade is September 25th, and October 8th is a holiday. So no classes, yay. Or nay, it's a nay, right? Okay. So this is the Graduate Student Services team. Me and the fellow advisors who are located in 130 Snell. So if you come by the first floor, wave. It's a nice glass wall, so we'll see you. Smile. And this is also our homepage for our website. So the most important thing you'll find here, probably the forms. So as I mentioned earlier, the petition form might become your best friend if you're considering electives outside of the pre-approved course list. And again, if you're considering them, make sure you're reaching out to Professor O'Reilly early on before the start of the semester because you don't want to enroll in a course that won't ultimately count towards your graduation requirements. And what the petition form is used for is like during graduation clearance, if you've taken electives that are outside of your approved list and I'm trying to clear you for graduation, then your requirements will come in all red. You don't want to be in the red. You want to be in the green. So the petition form helps me know that this course is approved. It's going to count towards your graduation requirements and that you're all clear to graduate. Better to have it on file sooner rather than later because in the semester that you're graduating, you don't want to be told by me, you're not graduating. That's the worst email. But we can work through it. So as I mentioned, the petition form. Okay, so as a grad student, one of your biggest responsibilities is knowing the academic policies and procedures and the resources available to you and your academic requirements. So the big one, you need to complete your degree by meeting all of the requirements outlined in the catalog. So as I mentioned, bookmark that catalog page, have it on your home screen for the next 2 years. It's going to be your best guide, other than us. No. Okay. Your cumulative grade point average, your GPA must meet 3.0 cumulative, so that's about a B average to maintain good academic standing. I'll talk about academic probation in a little bit, but keep that in mind, 3.0 for your core classes, you need a C or better. So those are the 4 core courses when you look at the catalog that are at the top. You need to make sure that the cumulative GPA for that is a C or better. And then to qualify to graduate, you need to make sure that your cumulative GPA is at that 3.0 or better. So making sure that when you're ready to graduate, you're in good standing, basically. So for academic probation, what happens if you dip below the 3.0 in a semester? You are put on probation and you're going to receive an email from me or Dr. O'Reilly saying, hey, we need to schedule a meeting because we have to have an academic plan in place for the next semester going forward. So what that means is we'll sit down, we'll figure out which classes you need to take or which one you should retake, how to get your GPA back up into good standing, what resources you might need to be connected to, and then go forward from there. Hopefully, after that semester, you're off academic probation, you're back in good standing. If not, you are then academically dismissed, and then you'd have to fill out a petition form again to say, hey, I can do this, like this is what happened, let's try again. And the college will have to approve or deny your petition going forward. But yeah, so the biggest takeaway for this is if you are struggling in a course, you want to identify that early on and reach out to your resources here, like your instructors, if your course assistants, if they have any tips on like how to improve since they've taken the course and know it well, reach out to Professor O'Reilly, reach out to me. Just like clue us in so we can help you. So that is a part of the assistance. So course registration, biggest thing, making sure that those petition forms are filled out, but one other thing that you might run into, especially like during the registration time before the start of the semester, is adding and dropping courses. So since you are capped at a certain tuition limit that you can't go under, you will have to add and drop simultaneously. So this is just showing you, it might look a little different on your Northeastern portal now because I think the layout has changed, but this is what I see. But the sections stay the same. So you want, when you're already registered for a course, you're gonna have an option to like web drop it. So you scroll down from the action, select web drop, and then at the same time before you hit confirm or anything, you must add another CRN, which is a course registration number for the exact section of the course that you want to register for instead. And so once you have that information all set, you're gonna hit confirm at the same time and it just swaps them. But you need to do that, and if you don't do it simultaneously, then you're gonna get an error message and you're gonna email me being like, Natalie, I can't get into this course, the computer won't let me drop it. And I'll say, did you try to do this simultaneously? And if you say no, then I'm gonna go back and say try again. But if you do have real issues with registration, please feel free to email me and I will help you to register for your classes. So when you're trying to add or drop a course, when you get a registration error, what do you do? So the status of the registration error will indicate to you like what's going on. So it's either going to have like a program restriction, so that means that it's a course outside of your program of study that needs like permission for you to enter into, or another big one is a college restriction. So if you're trying to take a course, like say within the College of Computer Information Sciences, and you get that restriction on the course, what you're gonna have to do is fill out a registration override request form. So if you can see like below, they have the different registration errors you might encounter. So you'd select that, fill out the course, put the course number, the CRN, the term you want to take it in, and then deliver this to me in 130 Snell. So you must bring all hard copies of forms, I should have mentioned that earlier, to my office in 130 Snell. You can just drop them in the front desk, and then I will work with Professor O'Reilly in getting these approved and sending them back to you being like, hey, this is approved, you can take this, or your override has been accepted. Any questions? Perfect. Okay. So as Professor Riley mentioned, the different types of online courses, so I won't go over them. Again, if you are an international student, make sure that you are enrolled at least 4 credits of one on-ground course per term. And then courses outside of COE, you would have to register with the college, and if you receive a college restriction, submit that override form. For actually the College of Computer Information Systems, they will sometimes require you to fill out an online petition form. If you can't find that online, you can email me. I have that bookmarked, then you can bookmark it. It's a beautiful tool. And then we can go from there. So for the first 2 weeks, I'll be hosting extended office hours as well. So they'll be Monday through Friday, and on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 1 to 4 p.m. On Tuesdays and Fridays, 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. Not a.m., p.m. And then after the first 2 weeks, so on September 18th, I'll resume regular walk-in hours. So that's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, from 2 to 4. When you do come in, make sure you have your NUID ready, because our front desk will have you sign in and put all your information in and give a little reason to why you're there. So make sure you have that ready. And if you can't make it to office hours, you can always email me at this email, so n.russo@northeastern.edu. If you would like to request a meeting outside of that time, I ask you to give me at least 24 hours in advance so I can plan my day, and then include a clear reason why you're requesting the meeting, because sometimes a lot of your questions can be easily answered over email. Not to say I don't want to see you. Welcome, please come by, but it might be faster for you and for me to try to figure it out online. And then, yeah. So while you're here, academics are very important, but exploring the Northeastern community and the Boston area would make your time here maybe a little bit more enjoyable. So I encourage you to get involved with the student groups. The NU IoT group, NU IoT Connect is a great group to be a part of, and also taking advantage of, again, the resources on campus, the Career Development Center, the Writing Center if you need it, student employment's here, and then the Boston Calendar is just events going on in the city. There are a lot of free events, so I encourage you to explore those too. So if you are an international student, make sure you're checking with OGS and attending one of the 6 orientation sessions that they have, starting, I believe, tomorrow and running until the 2nd week of September. So if you haven't registered, please do so after this. Attend classes and connect with us. Great. Questions? No? Okay. I don't know which one. This one?
Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Any questions for Natalie? No?
I might have to leave a little early.
That's all right. Hi, guys. Okay, a couple of slides ago we had, I mentioned the NU IoT Connect organization, right? So we had a couple of the guys from the NUIT group are right here, just came in. So Yogesh and Akash, do you want to come down, or probably best if you came down? So there's a little microphone here, maybe best if you held it in your hand really, because then you can share it if you need to share it.
Yeah. Hi guys, hope you are having a good time in the orientation. So yeah, welcome to the IoT program. So it's really innovative program, and this time it marks the first anniversary of the course, and we are the first batch students. And yeah, we do have a student organization where we do lot of hands-on sessions and few meetings, and there are upcoming events. So if you guys wanted to get engaged with, really with the hardware and on the IoT industry, we are the guys. You can look back to us and we can get you more of it. Thank you.
And for this fall semester, we have planned an workshop by the company Robotemi, which manufactures AI robots. So if you want to be a part of that event, please do come on 24th October. Thank you.
One more thing, guys. If you wanna sign up for this group, there'll be a portal called Orang Sing that you guys might not be aware of it for now. If you log in with your NU ASCII ID, you can go into that portal and you can sign up for the group. The group name will be NU IoT Connect. Look for this group name and join the group. We can get in touch with you guys. Thank you, guys. All the best.
Any questions?
The portal is Orang Sing. So do we have?
Write it down here. Over here, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, and once you log into the portal, you can search for the group name. It will be NU IoT Connect. If you just type the IoT, you can get the group, and once you go inside the group, it is like you can just join to the group and give a request to the group. Hi. Any other questions?
But you are also planning to have some sort of kickoff meeting as well for the new students?
Yeah, but we have not scheduled.
You have scheduled, yeah, but we will contact you.
Yeah.
So those of you who are interested can come. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. So Natalie has gone through most of the policies and procedures issues. Just a few extra points. Obviously, international students must be at least 8 credits. Can't have more than one streaming or online course. Okay, and these things are enforced by the banner system. The exception is your last semester when you are allowed to register. If you only need to take one course to graduate, then you don't have to take, 2, right? Unfortunately, the banner system doesn't know that you're graduating, so if you register for 2 classes and then you decide, because you're checking out which ones you want to take, then you decide you want to drop one of them, the system won't allow you, in which case you have to talk to Natalie. She has a manual workaround for that. The system isn't smart, but not that smart. Okay. Okay. And we talked about streaming or online classes. Well, the IoT students on the IoT program are capped at 10 semester hours per credit per semester. It's 10 because if you take 2 4-credit courses, and you can also take the co-op course, which is 9. And the idea for doing that is because in the past, what has happened, students have registered for 3 or 4 courses, as many courses as they can get into, and with the intention of not taking more than 2 courses, but they're sort of, trying to figure out, what course they might want to take, so they want to make sure they're registered for everything. And then they drop courses. So in some cases we've had classes where initially there were 25 students registered for a class, and after a week or so the number of registrations had dropped to 5 or 6. So it makes it very hard to do any kind of planning when that happens. So now we make sure that students only register for 2 classes that are taking 2 classes. Now it may be that you want to take more than 2 classes, okay? In that case you can contact me, and I will, if I think it's reasonable, I will allow you to take more than 2 classes. The most common time that happens is during the last semester. When the students are ready to graduate and have 3 courses to take, sometimes they'll want to take all 3 courses together because they want to get out of here and get a job, especially if they have a job offer, in the pipeline. They're in a hurry to finish up. There's a narrow window for dropping courses without penalty. I think it's 2 weeks, right? If you drop after that, if you can't drop after that, then you have to, actually withdraw from a course. So you make sure that you drop the course within that time period, and obviously you're going to need to add a course. Now, one of the problems is that students sometimes what happens is a student, sign up for a class, and then they decide after 2 weeks that they don't want to take this class. It may be that they're finding it difficult. They misunderstood what the course is about and what the prerequisites really are. They may not have the language skills for it and so on. And then they have to register for something else. And very often, and sometimes what happens is they register for a course they've never been to. And that is a big, big mistake, okay? Going into a class where you've never been in a class before, and you're doing this in the second week of a semester or the third week of a semester, is a recipe for disaster. And that's happened in the past where students have been now stuck in a class, they can't drop it anymore, and end up getting, if had students who got C minuses, Fs and stuff like that in a course they didn't want to be in. So if you're in any way interested in a course, the rule is you should go to that course. So that's my recommendation, that if you're not sure what courses you're going to take, you can go to the first 2 meetings of that class. And you should do that. And now you'll find out what the course is about. And at the very first meeting of every single course, the professor will provide the syllabus for that course. And the syllabus describes exactly what's going to happen in that course. What material is going to get covered on a week-by-week or on a bi-weekly basis. He's going to break it all down, what is going to get covered. He's going to explain how the course is going to get graded. Because each professor has full discretion in terms of how a course gets graded in the US system. Whether it's going to be midterms, whether it's going to be a project, whether it's going to be assignments, whatever it might be. So he'll specify all of that. He'll specify very clearly what prior knowledge you need to have, okay? So all that stuff will be in the syllabus. So if you're in any way interested in a class, you go to the first meeting of that class, okay? And you find out what that class is all about. And the other thing, of course, is some courses will have multiple sections taught by different professors, and the syllabus are going to be slightly different. Some cases, very different, okay. It could be that one professor mandates the use of Java, another requires C++ or C# or something, who knows, right? But until you do not assume that they're the same, okay? Do not assume that. Okay, so I do strongly recommend, unless you're absolutely sure what classes you're going to take, okay, that you check out the class. You go to the first meeting of the class. Now, if the class is full, okay, when I say full, I mean every seat in the class is taken, okay? You obviously cannot do that, okay? I mean, if every seat is taken, you cannot deprive somebody who's registered for that class of a seat in the class, okay? But assuming that there's extra seats there, you can sit in the class, just tell the professor you're thinking of joining the class, no problem. Now that's only for the first 2 meetings of the class. After that, you have to be registered for the class. You can't just sit in the class for the whole semester, okay? That's only the first 2 weeks until basically the drop date, okay? You can do that. Okay, any questions?
Do we have to inform the professor well in advance, like a day or 2 before? Should we write an email to professor that we would like to sit for his lecture?
You don't necessarily have to do that. I mean, what you should do is check out how many students are registered for the class, and if there, say there's 40 seats and there's 30 seats taken, you can just show up. Very often he'll ask anybody here who's not registered, and you let them know. If you want to, you can do that. I mean, but I don't think you really have to do that. Yeah. But don't show up, and if the class is actually physically full, you really, and there's a waiting list, which is another case, and you just can't come in and take a seat in that case. But in many cases, that's not the case. Now, the other point here is waiting lists, okay? And some of you may have already found waiting lists, okay, and you figured out how to use waiting lists, okay. And you can get in the waiting list for many courses, okay. They don't really count towards your budget, right? The 10 credit budget, right? These waiting lists. But waiting lists basically are pretty obvious how they work. When somebody drops a class, okay, then the person at the top of the queue gets notified, gets 24 hours to say yes or no. If that person doesn't respond, they automatically get dropped, okay? I mean, drop completely. Don't even go back to the end of the queue. They're dropped completely out of the queue. So sometimes students will complain, oh, they have to rejoin the queue themselves manually afterwards, you know. And sometimes these queues can be 30 or 40 students, you know, big queues. And in some cases, the size of the queue is capped at maybe 10 or 15. That's up to the professor. Other cases, they can be really, you know, extremely large. But it does happen, students down like 10 or 12 can get into a course sometimes, because maybe a lot of students drop, or students can be on a wait list for multiple sections of a course, right? And they often do that, you know, because they say, well, there's 3 sections, I get wait listed in all 3 sections, you know. Well, obviously you can't go to all 3 sections, okay? So when spaces open up then, but students often do not drop themselves, should take themselves off the wait list, but they don't do that, you know. They should really, and you make space for somebody else. But anyway, so there's maybe people in that wait list who have no intention of taking the class, who may be registered already for a different section. But so use the wait list, but don't assume that you're on a wait list, you're going to get into the class, okay? I mean, it's like fingers crossed kind of thing, you know. So make sure you have other options of courses you want to take. Other questions? Yes.
For some courses, there are multiple sections, right?
Yes.
For example, the concepts of OOP
Yes.
has in Java itself has 3 different professors
Yes.
in the classes. So how do we know in the first semester which professors to go to?
Well, the content of the course is basically the same. You know, it's Introduction to Java. Which one did you go to? And they're all very good professors. I mean, you can talk to the students who are here before you in terms of what their preferences are, you know. You talk to Yogesh or Akash back here, they might be able to tell you. But I mean, maybe just
Are we all following the same syllabus?
Same basic syllabus. I mean, in terms of how the grade may be different, and maybe a different breakdown, but they're all going to be giving you a good introduction to Java and object-oriented design. So, in that respect, they're all the same. But obviously, teaching styles do vary, and you know, yeah.
Is it possible that we can sit for the first week all the 3 lectures, lectures from all the 3 professors? And
Sure. I mean, as long as there's space in the classroom, you could. Yeah, sure. I mean, if there are seats available in all 3 sections, you could check them all out. Yeah, in theory, anyway. Yeah. If they're not all the class at the same time. Sometimes another issue you run into is that 2 classes you want to take are at the same time. You know. Unfortunately, a lot of what the classes in these programs tend to be in the evening because we're using people working in industry, and they're only available in the evenings or on weekends, right? So that limits often the. I mean, there's only 5 evenings in the week, right? And there's Saturdays and Saturdays, so conflicts will happen, right? So 2 classes you may want to take maybe on the same evening. But at least if there's multiple sections, there's a better chance that there's at least one section that you can make, you know. Okay. Okay, outside of COE, I can skip that. Okay, let's talk about co-op. But the goal of co-op is education, the subject area, so you're learning on your co-op, so it's regarded as part of the educational process, and it's also education in professional practice, working in industry. You're allowed just 1 co-op, okay? It can be as short as 13 weeks, which is 3 months, okay? Or as long as 8 months, that's the maximum. In other words, 2 semesters. Not longer than that, okay? But if you do want to go on a short one, that's it, okay? Be clear, and the short ones are often called internships. A lot of companies offer a 13-week or so internship during the summer. But if you go on one of those internships, just 13-week co-ops, you're not entitled to internships and co-ops are essentially the same thing, okay? So don't be confused on that. Professor Schwartz, I'll be talking to you shortly, is the coordinator for all the IoT students. He'll be the person who will be teaching you the Career Management for Engineer course, the NCP 6000 course, and he will also be working with you in terms of finding co-op positions and also in helping you through the whole process. Now this course is a 1-credit course, okay? And if you want interested in co-op, you need to take this course. Now the earliest you can go on co-op will be May of next year, so it really doesn't matter whether you take the, well, that's a matter of preference, but you can take the co-op course this semester or in the spring semester. In either case, the first time you can go on a co-op is May. Okay. And then when you're on co-op, you will be registered for that particular course there, and while you're on co-op, you're allowed to take a maximum of 1 course per semester. Could be an online course, or it could be, if you're actually working in Boston itself, it could actually be, you could actually be able to attend the class maybe. It's not required you take any course when you're on co-op, and in general, I generally do not recommend it, okay? Because it's very hard, especially to do a technical course while you're on co-op when you're working full-time. Because a lot of companies will want you not only to work, say, 35, 40 hours a week, they'll want you to work overtime, paid overtime obviously, but they expect that. And so you're not going to be, when you get home at 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, you're not going to be in a mood to start studying, So it's the only time really you have to study will be in weekends and things like that. So it doesn't give you much opportunity. And students who take courses while in co-op generally don't do that well in the course, quite honestly, because they cannot, spend enough time on a course. So better off taking the courses when you're here on campus. Okay, and finally, you must return to campus after you finish the co-op and be on campus during that last semester. Be physically on campus. Yeah, as I mentioned, you need to take an on-ground course. So I'm going to hand it over to Professor Schwartz, who's going to talk to you about the co-op course.
Grab that stuff, yeah, perfect. Hello, welcome to Northeastern, your first week. Welcome to Co-op. My name is Mike Schwartz. As Dr. Riley has said, I am the co-op advisor, instructor, faculty for the co-op engineering career management for engineers, okay? So the good news is you've been sitting for a long time, right? This is my slide, this is my one slide. Okay, so that's probably good news, right? Okay, and we'll get started right off. So please raise your hand if you already have a resume. No. Come on, I know you have resumes, right? So I want to see them. Raise them so I can see them. Okay, keep your hands raised for a minute. Now, keep your hand raised if the resume you have, if you're very confident that it is a excellent resume and that it is ready for the U.S. marketplace. Okay, so we have a little less confidence in that, right? So that's one of the key things that we're going to be working with you is not just that you have a resume, but your resume will resonate with employers as you send it out. Okay, we also work on cover letters. Anyone ever write a cover letter? Just curious? Anybody? Okay. Same thing, U.S. employers, not everyone requires a cover letter these days. Your college students, your resumes, you try to distinguish yourselves. A lot of times you just sort of explaining the skills that you have, right? But in some cases, maybe you've done a job in one field and your degree is in a different field, and you can use the cover letter to help explain that. So a well-written cover letter in some cases is actually very beneficial to you. So we go through that with the understanding that in some cases it's really good, and in other cases you won't end up using it, but we help you get prepared for that. Okay, we help you search and identify jobs that are aligned with your skills and interests. Okay, it's very important when you're applying to a job that you're doing this in a very thoughtful manner. Okay, every semester, this is absolutely true, I have at least one or more student come into my office and say, Professor, I've applied to 200 jobs and I've heard from one company. Right? So, and why is that? So I'll give you an example. I had one student came in last semester and she was interested in front-end web technologies. I said, okay, and looked at her resume, and I could make a few improvements on it, but it wasn't like bad or anything. And I said, well, show me like the most recent job you applied to. And she takes out a job for an embedded systems developer. Well, you know, embedded systems development job is not a front-end, web development job. And she said, well, it said software engineer on it. So there was a person who had not really been thoughtful about what she had done in that case, right? So wasted her own time, really, her own energy. And the unfortunate thing is, so it distracted her from focusing on and maybe writing a quality cover letter to a job that she really was qualified for. Okay, so we try to help you understand these things and balance these things to maximize the potential for you to get what you're looking for in a co-op job. We teach you how to network with employers and anyone else. So for example, there'll be a career fair October 5th you'll be able to go to. Now you won't be looking for a job, as Dr. O'Reilly said, until at earliest for May. Okay? And the students who maybe came in with more experience will have a slightly better chance to get a job in May versus into the following year, either for the fall or the following January. But we do have many cases where students come in with no experience and land a job in May. So, it's sort of a clean sheet of paper right now. But we teach you sort of to prepare when you go and you meet a U.S. hiring manager or a human resource manager at a career fair, how do you introduce yourself? We call it a positioning statement. You may have heard something similar with different terms. We teach you how to do that and to practice it out loud and to become comfortable with it. Now the interesting thing is, that's great when you're at a career fair. You've maybe done some research about a company. Right? And so you actually can talk to the company a little bit about what they do and maybe ask an intelligent question about it or something of that nature. But amazingly enough, once you're prepared with a positioning statement, the example I gave at yesterday's orientation was maybe you're new to Boston, but you love comedy or you love theater. So you go to theater in Boston with some friends and you sit down next to someone, and the theaters are small, so you might end up bumping knees with the person next to you. So it's very common to say, oh, hello, or something to the person you sit down next to. That wouldn't be unusual. So something happens and you're chatting and the person says something to you and you go, I'm really excited, it's my first time in theater in Boston. And the person says to you, oh, that's interesting, what are you doing in Boston? And you go, I'm a student. Conversation just ended, right? But if you say, hi, my name is Rajesh, and nice to meet you. I'm from Bangladesh, and I studied electronics for my undergraduate degree, and I'm so excited I came to Boston to go to Northeastern University, and I'm studying this great new field of IoT, Internet of Things, and I'm really excited about it. I love my work, and I hope someday to be working in device management or networking systems. And then it turns out the person sitting next to you is a director at Granite Technologies, the Granite Telecom, excuse me. So you just never know. Or as I said again yesterday, or the sister of the person that works there. And all of a sudden you make a connection. If that happens, make sure you get a business card so you can send a resume, okay? That's how you do it. That's how you complete the transaction. And I know that sounds silly, but these things happen. They happen. I could tell you stories, and in the class I will tell you stories of my own experience with my own children on fields and just meeting other people that ended up making connections. So it sounds weird, but these things happen. We'll teach you how to prepare for and communicate in a positive manner during an interview. I call it winning the interview. Okay, the interview starts at the very beginning when you show up and you do the handshake, and it ends when you're asking about the follow-up and asking how it went. So I'll give you an example. Would you kindly, so you just interviewed me, okay? So I'm the candidate and you're the manager. We're all done with the interview. So you just, this is easy, just ask me, what do I think? So say, what do you think?
Why do you choose this company?
Okay, so this is after the interview. Okay, so the interview's over. You've just interviewed me and you want to know from me, what did I think of the interview? So I literally want you to say those words to me. What do you think?
What do you think?
Thank you. This was a great interview today. I really liked meeting all the people. I think that I can use my device driver writing background and my C language skills, and I really like this project that we spoke about. And I hope you'll seriously consider me as a good candidate for this job. I'd love to do it. Okay. Now, so how about you? Would you like to ask me the same question? What do I think?
What do you think?
It was pretty good. I have a couple more interviews with some other companies next week, but yeah, I hope to hear from you. Did those sound the same? So between 1 and 2, who's more likely to have the follow-up and maybe get an offer? Good. Okay, we have a very intelligent class here. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that we go through all these things, because sometimes if you don't think about these things and you're in the situation and all of a sudden that happens and you haven't thought about it and planned for it, you don't nail it and you don't win the interview. Now, we go through a lot of different scenarios like this in the class, and we try to make it interesting and fun, as well as really implicitly and explicitly transfer knowledge to you to help you do your best. And finally, something that's near and dear to my heart is, yes, you're here. Yes, you're here to get your academic degree. Yes, we're here to help you get a co-op, but you're all going to leave here and have successful careers. And part of what I look to do in my interactions with you is help you to become the best professionals you can be. So I'm trying to teach you professional behaviors, professional skills, ethics. We go through some very interesting ethics cases. Get your probably, you know, whatever. It's amazing how you'll be in the workplace and things will happen that will challenge you ethically. So we go through a lot of topics like this. Careers are never completely smooth. Okay, there's somebody you don't like, or someone's giving you a hard time, or an organization changes or the work changes. Situations happen in the workplace. So how you approach that and what attitude you take and how you move forward from it, we go through a lot of that. We call it mindset. Also, mindfulness is also related to it. We go through both of those topics in the class as well. All, again, to help you be totally prepared to get a job, but also to be successful in the job. Okay. Now, also things like if you're on the job and something you're not sure about and you ask help. Ask for help. You ask for help once, it's fine. You ask for help twice, maybe. You go back and ask for help a third time, now you start to become like a nuisance, right? So we talk through scenarios like this and help you understand what you do in situations like that, okay, so you can be successful. Okay, so that's kind of it. If I had to summarize the value for the course, it's learning the skills to help you increase the chances to get a co-op. Okay, so it's for your benefit in that regard. It's getting you the support for the faculty in connecting and communicating with employers, and specific help when dealing with employers. Sometimes before an interview, students will come say, I have this interview, I'm not sure what to do, and we'll help you go through things. We do it in the class as well. We go through scenarios and how to build stories and how to be prepared to respond to questions, but oftentimes students want personalized help. Here's a great story. Today we're interviewing a candidate for a job like mine. In the middle of the interview, his phone rings. Okay or not okay? Okay, this is supposed to be an experienced person going for a senior job. So these things happen in real life. If you're on the interview and you do that, your chances of getting the job just went like that. And you think that, yes, it matters. After the interview, one of my peers came to me and said, can you believe this guy's phone went off? So people take this stuff seriously. So we try to get you really ready to do this and always get it right 100% of the time on the interviews. Okay? There's more information here. There's URLs. The slides will be available to you. The first one is just in general about the co-op program. Dr. Riley's already talked to you. You need to have a 3.0 GPA. You have to have an academic year behind you. And we like you to have a 4 to 8 month co-op. Sometimes there are really great opportunities that are shorter. Again, you talk to me, we talk it through, we see what's right for you. Because if you do get a 13 to 14 week co-op, that's your only co-op. Maybe you came here hoping you could get a 6 or 8 month co-op. So we just try to help you optimize based on your interests, your skills, and what the situation is. Okay? If it's your very last chance at a co-op and you get a 13 week, you're going to be thrilled, right? So we take everything into consideration and help you come to a good decision. You can reach me. I'll have office hours. There'll be regular office hours. In the classroom, I'll post them. And if you're not in the class in the fall, but you need to talk to me, you'll be able to find my office hours on your portal that Natalie mentioned. Finally, co-op is competitive. So you're competing with the people in this room. But if you're a good student and you're committed and you have a good background, the companies are competing for you as well. But the key thing in my last story for today is that I had a couple of students visit me this week. They're 1 year ahead of you, and their resumes, they asked me to review their resumes. They hadn't had a co-op yet. So we talked through it, and I helped them still continue to improve their resumes. And the key thing that they didn't realize is they have to do hard work to get a co-op. So they hadn't really written cover letters, and they just were sending their resumes out. And so I talked to them about helping to focus and how they can target and how they can improve their chances going forward as they move towards January and their last chance. See, so you can get the benefit of that with me standing here, right here with you now, and saying, just put in your mind that searching for a co-op is a job in itself. It's hard work. If you put the work in, I and my peers will be here to help you to maximize your chances. Okay, great. Thanks very much. Looking forward to seeing you in class.
Okay, just to repeat this, minimum requirements, co-ops need to be in good academic standing, 3.00, 16 academic credit, which really means 2 semesters, 2 academic semesters. In your case, that means fall and spring. Completed at least a couple of core courses, and also need to pass the career management course with a passing grade. So the co-op advisor, Dr. Schwartz, will develop a list of positions available for IoT students. You can also find your own positions, okay, by going out there and figuring out what companies have positions of interest to you, contacting them, and so on, okay. In general, we got, since the IoT program is fairly new here, we don't have an awful lot of a big track history of co-op opportunities. But many of the positions that students have got so far have not been always directly in IoT. They've been in related areas, for example, networking, data analytics, application development, and so on. A lot of companies have stuff going on in the IoT area, but sometimes finding actual, quote, IoT jobs that are specifically IoT can be hard enough to find. Okay, but that's we expect to improve over the next couple of years as IoT becomes more mainstream, and also in terms of our building more relationships with companies that have very active IoT projects and so on. Historically, in my experience, the primary reasons for eligible students not getting a co-op, okay, have been, first of all, poor grades, okay. If you're struggling in class, obviously it's going to impact you. And also in terms of interviewing and so on. Lack of motivation is a big one. As Professor Schwartz just said, you have to do a lot of work yourself. Getting a co-op in itself is a full-time job, okay? So you're going to spend a lot of time, identifying actual opportunities, finding out what, researching the companies so that you're targeting them in the right way, so you have the correct cover letter and all of that kind of stuff. That all takes time, okay? So I've had cases of students in the past who basically, they tried to get some co-op, and then when the semester ends, say in May, for example, they said, oh, I think I'll go home to India or China for the summer, And then they complained, didn't get a co-op. Well, if you're not prepared to put the work in yourself, we can't find a co-op for you. You've got to do a lot of this work yourself, okay? And it's the students who really, who do that work and so on, will benefit the most from Professor Schwartz's help and so on. And lastly, English language skills. Unfortunately, the first level, once you apply and for a position and the company contacts you, the first thing they'll do is set up an interview. And these days it's generally a phone interview, okay? And some of these phone interviews can be 1-2 hours long. They can be very technical, long, and so on. So you really need to have very good English language skills to be able to handle that, okay? Because it's intensive, intricate questions. We're looking for clear answers, and so being able to handle yourself, on a phone, and it's much harder, I think, to do phone interviews if your English language skills are not perfect, phone interviews are much harder than face-to-face interviews. Face-to-face tend to be, because in face-to-face interviews a lot of other kind of communication goes on, right? Eye contact, you can see things, but on a phone it's sort of much more difficult. Okay, so if your English language skills are not great, you need to work on them. Okay, you really need to work on them. So along with the other things here, because otherwise you're going to have problems with the interview process in particular. Okay. Any questions for myself or Professor Schwartz on the co-op? How many of you have registered for co-op for the fall? Okay. Are the rest of you not interested in co-op or are planning to do it in the spring? Okay. Okay. It's not required at all. Now, let's be clear. Going on a co-op is not a requirement for the program. But if you are interested in working afterwards, in the US especially, it's obviously very desirable to get a co-op opportunity. Not required though. I've had students in the telecom area who did not get a co-op and who started off with one young woman who started off early this year with a six-figure job from Facebook, okay, and she did not get a co-op. So you can still do very well without getting a co-op. So it's not the end of the world, okay, but it certainly can help for a lot of people. I would say on the average, my estimate is of students who go on a co-op, about 30% of them at least get a job offer from that company afterwards, okay. Maybe higher in some cases. Okay. And there are some that definitely you will never get a co-op offer from. A lot of the internships, for example, companies like Nokia, for example, who bring in students over the summer for 13 weeks. It's not intended to be to be converted to a full-time position at some point in the future. They're just giving an experience, if you like, to a whole bunch of graduates, or in some cases undergraduates. But other companies, for sure, okay, they use the whole co-op process as basically as an interview process. So they have you there for 6 months or 8 months, and essentially it's a 6-month or 8-month interview, okay? And if they like what they see, okay, you better believe you're going to get a good job offer at the end. Now that's not to say it's true of all companies, but it's true of quite a few companies, I will tell you, okay? So, something to bear in mind. Some forms, that's the approval form, which I like to be submitted as a PDF fillable, okay? Okay, petition request we've talked about and Natalie has talked about. I think we've covered everything there. That's the form, that's what it looks like. Academic probation, okay. If your GPA drops below 3.00, you will go on academic probation, okay? And then, as she's mentioned, we go through a process where we have to put together an academic probation plan so that you can overcome that deficiency and your GPA can move back up above 3.0. And if you don't get it above 3.0 in the next semester, then you get automatic dismissal from the university. And you have to petition then to stay here, okay? And that petition may or may not be accepted, okay? That's up to the dean of whoever's in charge of the graduate school. So that's a big issue. So that's some area where you don't want to get into. Now, the most common semester in which students go or put on academic probation is your very first semester, okay? Because in the very first semester, you're probably just taking 2 courses. So you end up getting a B and a B minus, for example. You're on academic probation, okay? If you got in the second semester, you may have got a B plus and a B in the first semester, you're okay. But in the very first semester, because you've taken so few courses, if you do badly in one of those courses, there's a good chance you're going to be in academic probation. And that is why I say, in the first semester, you don't want to overstretch yourselves. And the majority are coming from different, educational backgrounds. We have not attended a university in the US before, and it's very different from other countries, especially undergraduate. Okay, so it's a good idea to get your feet wet slowly, right? Rather than jumping right in and taking a whole bunch of courses, really difficult courses that you may have real problems with. Okay, so it's a good idea in your first semester. Just follow, make sure that you don't do anything outlandish, okay? And take 2 courses that you can handle. Okay. And once you get through the first semester, then if you want to take 3 courses or you want to do something else, that's okay. We can talk about it. But in the first semester, I do recommend, after the first semester, relatively few students go on academic probation. First semester, the most common time, okay? And it's not a great start to your career at Northeastern to be put in academic probation afterwards. It really isn't. Okay. Any questions? Okay. There's a form for it. There's loads of forms, right, as Natalie outlined. Find most of them on the graduate school website. Attendance policy, you're expected to be attendance for the first meetings of a class in each semester. This really does not apply to this semester, but I'm talking really about, say, this in the spring semester coming up. Okay, so letting you know way ahead of time. Sometimes students take a long vacation over the winter break, okay? And there's always weddings and stuff, right? Things to go to and so on. So students sometimes will want to come back, say, in the middle of January or whatever. Miss the first week or 2 weeks of classes. Well, if a class is full, and I'm talking really about courses that I have control over, if a class is full with a waiting list, okay, and students don't show up, okay, then my rule essentially allows students who are on the waiting list to take those places. Okay, I think it's only fair. The students who are taking the bother to be here should have priority over students who turn up whenever they feel like it, So be warned ahead of time. If a class is full, you can be expected to lose your place, you're going to get dropped, and the class position will be given to somebody on the waiting list who is actually physically here. Okay. In general, if you miss classes of a course, okay, this may be obvious, but just making sure you understand it. If you don't turn up for particular classes of a course, you're still responsible for whatever happened in that class, okay? Okay? You should not be going to the professor and looking for, extra help. It's your responsibility to be there, okay? So if you miss a class, whatever, you should, talk to your friends who are taking the same class, get their class notes, figure out what other assignments, whatever. It's your responsibility, not the professor's responsibility, okay? So don't be looking for special consideration of any kind from the professors, okay? Okay, the last bunch of slides I have here, I've got to do with academic integrity and plagiarism. Okay, I want to make sure that we all understand what these terms mean and understand the importance of these at Northeastern. Okay, so Northeastern is committed to the principles of intellectual honesty and integrity. So there's a whole bunch of different kinds of violations of these basic principles. Cheating, obviously. Fabricating, making stuff up. Okay. Collaboration that's not authorized. If a professor says, I want you to work on these things separately, okay, and you work together, you're violating the whole basis of integrity here, okay? Unauthorized collaboration of any sort. Participation in dishonesty, facilitating dishonesty, which might mean, in an exam, allowing somebody to look at your exam paper, okay? So I'm not cheating, just allow the other guy to copy, okay? You are now guilty, okay? You're facilitating. So, and sometimes, some students, it has happened, bring pressure on other students to do things like that, okay? And all forms of plagiarism, by which I mean, copying somebody else's work. And this can be, pulling stuff down from the internet, okay, in reports or whatever, and as if your own writing, in say in business class or something like that. But the most common one, for a lot of your courses will be, dealing with code. Okay, you need to write your own code, not get code from somebody else or download it from the internet or anything like that. Okay, these days there are so many tools out there to check on this. You're going to get found out. Okay, there are loads of ways of checking text that's been taken somewhere else, and also code that's been taken somewhere else. So if somebody really wants to investigate it, you will be found out. Okay, so don't do it. If you do use something from somewhere else, like you take a paragraph from something else, you need to acknowledge it. Okay, you cite it, and that's how you get around that. And there's a whole bunch of examples of plagiarism. I'm not going to go through them, but something that you need to be aware of and make sure that this does not happen. So if by any chance, okay, so I've asked all of my professors who teach on my programs, if there's any cheating, for example, in an exam, whatever, to give a course grade of F. Okay. And then you'll get reported to both the graduate school and to the Office of Student Conduct and Conflict Resolution, which is called OSCAR. Okay. And what they would do then, basically, they will review the case and so on, and if you're found guilty, you get a minimum sanction of deferred suspension. And you may get other stuff as well, as part of the penalty. But if it happens a second time, you will be expelled. Okay? So you get one chance not to be expelled, basically, and then the second time you will get expelled. So, unfortunately, this has happened. Okay, in this college, at the graduate school. So, just make sure you're aware of it and. Pay attention. Any questions? And I guess that's it. And I think we've got your name and everything, right? All that. Okay. Any more questions? Yes.
About the graduate certificate. So we need 4 course to get a graduate certificate.
Yes. So they're all 16 credits. Yes. In engineering. Yes.
If we take like 4 subjects, the core subjects for the IoT, and the other 4 subjects for the graduate engineering, so it would be counted towards the degree.
If the 4 courses for the certificate are electives, yes, that's possible. Yes, you can double count. In other words, double counting is allowed for a certificate and for a master's degree. In general, Northeastern doesn't allow double counting. Like if you can't count the same courses for 2 master's degrees, for example. You say you take so many courses for a master's in the IoT area, and then you want to do a second master's, you can't say, oh, I'm going to use these courses again. It doesn't allow that. But for the certificates, it does allow it. Yes. And that's the only reason really you're able to do this within the 2-year or the same time frame, is because double counting is allowed, yeah. Otherwise you have to take 32 and 16 with 48, right? There's no double counting, yeah. Other questions? Are we all set? I'll be here for a few minutes anyway, and you can come and see me in my office. I won't be there tomorrow, but I'll be there Tuesday and all of next week, right? But hopefully it's very clear anyway in terms of what courses you should be taking, and that's the main thing at this point. Make sure you're registered for the right courses, and that that if you're not completely sure, that you go to the classes for those courses, right? The other kind of message I have, if you're not completely sure about your courses, go to the classes anyway, okay? And the first meeting of the class, you will get the syllabus of that course, this semester, right? Okay. Well, thank you for coming, and I hope you have a good semester. Okay, thank you.